was already wrong before it had a shape. It was the kind of wrong you feel before you hear it. A pressure in the chest, a pause where sound should be, like the night itself was waiting to see what you would do next. On this channel, stories are told in a fully cinematic, audio-first way, so you never have to look at the screen to feel every moment. You are listening to Minutes of Fear, where every story leaves something behind. The first thing she noticed was the silence inside the house. Not quiet. Silence. Kayla would later say that was what stuck with her the most. The way sound seemed to stop at the doorway, like the air inside had been holding its breath. It was late. Not impossibly late, but late enough that her body had already decided the night was over. Her head buzzed softly from music and voices still echoing in her ears from the party she had just left. Laughter. Bass. The kind of noise that follows you even after you step away from it. She shut the door behind her. Click. That sound felt loud. She stood there for a second longer than necessary, keys still in her hand, letting her eyes adjust. The living room was dim, lit only by a lamp near the wall. Shadows leaned into corners. Furniture looked unfamiliar in the half-light, like it had shifted slightly while she was gone. Then she saw him. He was lying on the couch. At first, her brain did what brains like to do. It explained him away, a friend of a friend, someone who had stayed over, a harmless shape that fit into an existing story. But his eyes were open, wide open, not blinking. He was staring directly at her. The blanket was pulled up to his chin. Only his face was visible, pale, still, too still. There was no drowsiness in his expression, no confusion at being woken by the door, just awareness. Kayla felt a small, sharp twist in her stomach. She took a step forward. The floor creaked. His eyes followed her. Still no words, no greeting. No shift of the body like someone making room or acknowledging another person in the room. She told herself not to stare, told herself this was nothing. People are strange at night. People sleep with their eyes open sometimes. As she crossed the room, she glanced back. The blanket had moved, just a little. His chin was free now, his head lifted slightly off the cushion. He was still watching her. Closer now. The feeling in her stomach dropped. She did not say anything. She did not ask who he was. She did not walk toward her roommate's room like she normally would. She changed direction. Her bedroom door was only a few steps away. She went inside and shut it. Then, without thinking, she locked it. The click of the lock sounded final. She leaned her back against the door for a moment, heart tapping faster than it should have been. She told herself she was overreacting, that she was tired, that alcohol makes everything feel sharper and stranger. She got into bed. Sleep took her quickly, like a switch being flipped. She did not dream. She woke up to a sound that did not belong in sleep. Tap, pause, tap, tap. It took a few seconds for her mind to catch up, for her to understand she was awake, for the room to come into focus. The sound came again. Fingers, drumming softly on wood. Her door. She sat up slowly, every movement careful, as if speed might make the sound worse. The room felt colder than before, the air heavier. The tapping stopped. For a brief, hopeful second, she thought that was the end of it. Then the scratching began. Not frantic, not aggressive at first, slow, deliberate, like someone testing the surface. Kayla stared at the door, at the thin line of light beneath it, at the handle that now felt like the weakest point in the room. Her mind raced for explanations. A prank, a stupid joke, someone drunk and bored. She almost laughed at herself. Then the scratching grew louder, longer, nails dragging across wood. Her heart began to pound hard enough that she could feel it in her throat. She reached for her phone with shaking hands, the screen lighting up her face in the dark. She typed a message to her roommate, asked her to come out, told her someone was messing around. No response. She typed another message. Same words. Different name. Nothing. The scratching stopped. The doorknob moved, just a little. Back and forth. Testing. Kayla swallowed and forced her voice to work. She told whoever was out there to stop. Her voice sounded thin, small. The handle moved again. That was when she called. Her roommate answered, voice thick with sleep and confusion. Kayla spoke quickly, anger and fear tangled together. She told her about the man, the couch, the door. There was a pause on the line. Then her roommate said something that drained the warmth from Kayla's body. They had not had anyone over. Not that night. Not at all. Kayla felt the room tilt. She told her roommate to lock the door, to stay inside. Her voice was calm now in a way that frightened her later. The doorknob went still. So did the scratching. Silence returned. For a moment she thought he was gone. Then the banging started. Not at her door. Across the house. Heavy, violent, desperate, wood cracking under force. She heard her roommate scream. Kayla dialed for help with hands that barely felt attached to her arms. Somewhere between the ringing and the shouting, she heard footsteps. Fast. Retreating. A door sliding open. Then sirens. Red and blue lights sliced through the windows. When the police arrived, the house felt different. Smaller. Exposed. Like its skin had been peeled back. They found marks on the doors. Deep scratches. Gouges around the locks. Tools left behind, dropped in a hurry. They told Kayla later that the man had likely been there before she came home. That she surprised him, that when their eyes met, something changed. She had not just seen him. He had seen her. And that was enough. Kayla would move out not long after. She would sleep with doors locked for years. And sometimes, when she wakes up in the middle of the night, she still listens for a sound that does not belong. Not footsteps. Not breathing. Just fingers. Waiting. Silence. The road remembered everything. That was the thought Misty couldn't shake later. Not that something followed them or watched them, but that the road itself already knew what was going to happen, and it was waiting to see if they would figure it out in time. The drive had started normally. Church let out late. The sky was already losing color, slipping from blue to that dull gray that comes right before night decides to settle in. Her mother drove the way she always did. Rigid posture, both hands tight on the wheel, eyes fixed forward like looking away might cause something terrible. Misty stared out the window, bored, half listening to the hum of tires on dirt. Then she saw her. At first, it barely registered. Just a shape where no shape should be. Someone sitting on the side of the road. Small. Still. Misty leaned forward, squinting. Her brain tried to measure distance, age, possibility. A child, maybe. A kid sitting alone where there were no houses, no lights, no reason to be. She told her mother. No reaction. She told her again, louder this time. Her voice cracked with something she didn't expect to feel so quickly. Urgency. Her mother slowed, annoyed more than alarmed. The idea of turning around felt heavier to her than the idea of someone needing help. Darkness was coming. Darkness made her hands sweat. Eventually the truck turned around. The headlights swept across trees that pressed in close on both sides of the road. The forest felt thick, like it swallowed sound. The dirt beneath the tires kicked up dust that hung briefly in the air before settling again. They saw her clearly this time. Not a child. A teenager. Sitting with her back to the road, knees pulled to her chest, rocking slowly, like she was keeping time with something only she could hear. No movement toward the truck, no glance back, no reaction to the engine, the lights, the presence of other people in the dark. Misty's skin prickled. Her mother muttered that it was strange, that nobody should be out here. Not like this. They drove past her. Misty watched through the rear window, expecting the girl to turn her head, to stand, to wave, anything. She did not. They turned around again. The headlights swept the same stretch of road. Nothing. The girl was gone. No footsteps in the dirt. No sound from the trees. Just empty road and forest standing still. They drove slowly. Too slowly. Searching. Minutes passed. Her mother finally pressed the gas, convincing herself the girl had simply walked away. Maybe into the woods. Maybe toward a house that Misty didn't know was there. They came to the intersection. 4 stop signs. Nothing else. And there she was. Sitting again. Same posture. Same rocking. Same refusal to acknowledge the world behind her. Misty's breath caught in her throat. This was not possible. Her mother stopped the truck. The engine idled loudly now, like it was nervous too. Misty felt panic rise fast and hot. Not fear exactly, something closer to instinct. A wordless certainty that this moment was wrong in a way that could not be fixed by kindness or curiosity. She told her mother not to stop. She told her to keep driving. Her mother hesitated. Leaving felt cruel. Stopping felt dangerous. She chose stopping. Misty unbuckled her seatbelt and folded herself down into the footwell, pressing her forehead to her knees. She covered her ears, as if that could keep something from reaching her. She begged. Her mother leaned across the seat and rolled the window down. Cold air rushed in. Her mother called out. There was a pause. Then her mother screamed. Not a startled sound, not surprise, pure terror. The truck lurched forward. Gravel sprayed. The engine roared louder than Misty had ever heard it. Misty sat up, heart pounding, asking what happened, what she saw, what was wrong. Her mother did not answer at first. She drove like the road was on fire behind them. Tears streamed down her face. Her hands shook so badly, Misty thought she might lose control of the wheel. Finally, she spoke. She said there was no face, no eyes, no mouth, no skin shaped into anything human. Just an empty hollow where a face should have been. They did not slow down again. They did not look back. When the house finally appeared, lit and solid and real, they ran inside like something was still chasing them. The police searched the road that night. They found nothing. No footprints, no disturbance in the dirt, no girl. Years later, Misty would still think about that rocking motion. Slow, patient, like waiting. Not for help, for someone to stop. Matt liked places where nothing expected him. That was the whole point of leaving the city. Not to escape noise exactly, but to escape attention. In the wilderness, nothing cared who you were or what you did for a living. The trees did not ask questions. The dark did not recognize status. He found comfort in that. The first night passed quietly, until it didn't. He woke without knowing why. No dream, no sudden sound. Just that internal alarm that pulls you out of sleep before your mind has a reason. At first he lay still inside his tent, listening. There was movement outside, soft, uneven, something shifting weight in the dirt. He told himself it was an animal. There were plenty of animals out here, and most of them sounded bigger in the dark than they actually were. The sounds did not go away. They circled, paused, started again. After a while, curiosity overpowered caution. He reached forward and undid the zipper just enough to peek inside. The fire pit was cold, grey ash, no glow, and someone was sitting there. A man. Cross-legged, hands resting on his knees, head tilted down like he was studying the ground. Every so often, he nudged the ashes with his foot, scattering them softly. No flashlight, no gear, no sound from his breathing. Matt froze. His brain struggled to assemble context. No nearby campsites, no trail, no reason for anyone else to be here, especially this close, especially this quiet. The man lifted his head. Their eyes met. The man's expression changed instantly, like a switch had been flipped. Surprise, maybe, or something closer to embarrassment. He stood up fast. Then he ran. Not stumbling, not crashing through brush. Just gone. Matt waited, listening for footsteps, for branches snapping, for a voice calling out an apology. Nothing. He stepped out of the tent, heart pounding, and swept his light through the trees. The beam cut through darkness in narrow slices. Trunks, leaves, empty space. No movement, no return light. Whoever that man was, he did not want to be seen. Matt barely slept after that. When morning came, it felt like relief had weight to it, pressing down on his shoulders. Daylight made everything seem smaller, safer, explainable. He told himself a story that made sense. A hiker who wandered off course, someone drunk, someone confused. Stories are powerful like that. They let you move on. Over the next 2 days, Matt moved deeper into the forest. No trail, no destination, just slow wandering guided by a map and instinct. He covered miles without seeing anyone. The world felt empty again, the way he liked it. On the second evening, he set up camp in another clearing, built a fire, cooked, let the crackle of burning wood settle his nerves. That was when he heard it. Behind him, a sound too controlled to be an animal. Not heavy, not careless. He turned. Nothing. The forest stood still. He went back to eating. The sound came again, closer this time. Matt stayed still, listening, counting the seconds between breaths. Something was there. Not rushing, not hiding, just present. He slowly turned his head. And that was when he realized the worst part. Whatever it was not approaching. It was already close enough to hear him breathe. He stood up. The sound stopped. The silence that followed felt intentional, like a decision had been made. Matt did not finish his meal. He packed quickly, movements tight and controlled, eyes never leaving the tree line. Every instinct told him the same thing. He was no longer alone out there. And this time, whatever shared the space with him was not going to run away. Matt did not say the word fear out loud. He did not even think it at first. Fear implies panic, and panic wastes time. What he felt instead was calculation. A quiet narrowing of options. The sense that the forest had just changed the rules without explaining them. He finished packing by touch more than sight. Every zipper sounded too loud. Every shift of weight felt like an announcement. When he finally lifted his pack, the clearing felt smaller, like the trees had leaned in while he was distracted. He stepped away from the fire and let it die on its own. No goodbyes. No last look. He chose a direction that felt right, which is another way of saying he chose the direction that felt least wrong. The light from his headlamp cut a narrow tunnel ahead of him. Everything beyond it might as well not have existed, For a while there were only his footsteps and his breathing. Then he heard it again, not behind him, to his side, pacing, keeping distance but matching his speed. Matt stopped. So did the sound. He waited, counted heartbeats, listened until the silence grew heavy enough to press against his ears. Nothing. He started walking again. The sound returned. Always just far enough away that he could not see it. Always close enough that it felt intentional. This went on longer than he could measure. Time stretched thin out there. Without landmarks or reference points, minutes and hours blended together. Eventually, he did the thing he had been avoiding. He turned his light toward the sound. The beam caught nothing but trees and shadow, but in that brief sweep, he realized something that made his stomach drop. The footsteps were not coming from one place. They were coming from several. He did not run. Running turns fear into noise. Instead, he kept moving until the ground began to slope downward and the forest thinned. Dawn came slowly, bleeding color back into the world one shade at a time. With daylight, the sound stopped. Just like that. The forest returned to normal. Birds, wind, the quiet indifference of nature going about its business. Matt reached a trail hours later. A real one. Marked, worn, human. He followed it until he found other people. He did not tell them what happened. He did not report it. Some experiences do not fit into language without losing their teeth. Matt left early, cut the trip short, went back to the city he once thought he needed a break from. Years later, he would still think about that second night, about how the thing out there did not chase him, did not rush him, did not try to scare him away. It simply kept pace, as if it was curious, as if it was deciding. And sometimes, when the city goes quiet late at night, Matt finds himself listening the same way he did in the woods. Not for footsteps, but for the moment when silence starts to feel intentional. Because once you notice that feeling, you never really stop listening for it again.